Hey guys, okay, so Mr. here with part 2 of our video deductions. And so we got talking about optional deductions, then we talked about mandatory deductions for CPP, federal provincial tax. Down to this chart, which is made, we're going to be able to go through it a lot quicker because in the past I would make students figure out the federal tax and provincial tax using those tables that I did at the end of the last video. For all of today's work, I've given you these amounts. So what we have to do is just do the for each time. These numbers are okay. So we're taking gross total, take this value, total it up, and then deduct it, and that's going to be your net pay. Again, for the sake of time, I'm going to actually just show you this chart already completed right here like this. Okay. So actually, just do the first one here for you. And then we'll go from there. So my net claim code is already 1. I would only need it if I was using that, but we have to figure out these amounts. Okay? And CPP, the net claim code doesn't come. EI is just 0.0158 of this number there of 2,000. So that's the amounts. Okay? The CPP, I need the exemption first. So subtract the 2.7. These numbers first before multiplying it by 0.025. That's going to give me $89.69. Okay. Now add up all of these numbers. That's going to give me my total deductions, really total mandatory deductions. That's going to be $280.59. So then I take my mid-gross pay, the 2,000, and I subtract my total deductions, and that's going to give me my net pay of $1,719.41. Okay. For the sake, I don't this whole table, but it's really just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Realizing that with my money, if my income goes up, then these numbers technically should go up. Now, when higher, again, look at this income tax here. Okay, if I do this guy here, Brian, if I do his he got paid $500 more than Ann. Well, his CPP goes up to $950. So his EI went up to $39.50. His CPP was $1,115. Sorry, $1.94. But because the claim code is much higher, less tax off. And the reason is that he doesn't need as much tax taken off. It doesn't mean he doesn't have to pay as much tax. It just on a particular paycheck, okay, not going to take off nearly as much tax as we normally would. $5.30, $8.30. To me, that Brian's got where he's already paying most of it. So this employer doesn't need as much off. Okay, if you add up those numbers, you get $169.40, and his net income is going to be $1,330.76. All right. So again, this one here, pause and go through it. What I would encourage you is press pause, do the calculations, and see if you get the same answers. And we learn different examples. The next section asks you for some observations. It's what do you notice federal tax for Brian and Clark and why? All right. So when we look at this, again, here's the one without my writing on it. When we look at the federal income tax for Brian and Clark, what do you notice? About that they make the same amount, but Brian pays a lot less because he's got a different claim code. Look at Greg's gross pay, his net pay. Write your observation. This guy's making $10,000 a month. Wow, $20,000 a year. His okay, and look at his net pay, $702. So he had almost $3,300 in deductions. Wow. So I think that's a very important observation, guys, because you realize that become deductible real, and if you're not allowing and you might not realize that. And again, if you're expecting a lot more money at the end of the month, you might be in for a rude awakening there, okay? Sorry, my laptop just started dying here because of the battery, so I have to plug it in. Next, compare EI and CPP for Brian and Clark. So Brian and Clark are there. Okay, they're the same. Well, why? Because EI and CPP has nothing to do with your claim code. It's just based off of your income. So therefore, we would, if the income is the same, we would expect those amounts to be the same. And then number 4, compare the EI and CPP for Ann and Hal. What do you notice? So there's Ann. So she paid $31.60 and $89.69. Hal is paying $229.10 and $745.94 in CPP. Okay, why? Well, he's making a lot more money. So because of that, and then these two things are a percentage of income, we would expect this to be a lot more. All right. Okay. So let's start looking at some examples here that we want to work with. Okay, and where's the page that I need? Here we go, right here. I need calculating net pay. So example number 1, Terry's gross monthly income working as a medical assistant is $3,500. She has chosen the following deductions. So there's her deductions. Okay. She will pay for all 4 mandatory deductions as well. So she's going to pay EI, CPP, federal tax, and provincial tax. Based on her income and claim code number 3, okay, again, I've given you these amounts. Normally you would have to use this claim code in those charts to go find them. I already did that for you. What will her net pay be? So I've given you this table here to help calculate this, and it's similar to a pay stub in some ways, but this is good for a couple of reasons. Number 1, some of you guys need to learn to organize your writing a lot better. If I just left a blank page here, there would be numbers, different sizes all over the place. So by me kind of giving you some boxes, I'm literally boxing you in, but it will help you to be organized, okay? So step number 1 is we need to find out the optional deductions. So we're going to write this list down, okay, really quickly. So the pension is $33.18. I'm going to do the first one for you, and then the next ones I'm going to show you completed tables, and then you can just press pause and fill them in as you go, just for time's sake. The health plan is $51.88. The union dues, so notice I'm making a list here, and this is important, okay, is $29.98. I'm trying to line up my numbers so they make sense to me. And then charity is $20. Okay, so now I need to determine my total optional deductions. So basically, I'm just going to add all of these, and I'm going to get the number $135.04. So now those are my optional deductions. Now I need to subtract that from my gross pay. My gross pay was $3,500. Okay, so down here I get my gross pay, $3,500. Subtract my optional deductions, $135.04. Okay, and I'm going to get my mid-gross pay, which is $3,364.96. Okay. Now I'm going to need that number later on to determine my net pay. But now let's go over to mandatory deductions. So again, there's going to be 4 things I need to calculate. Number 1, EI. So EI is going to take my original amount, the $3,500, multiply it by my rate of 0.158, I do believe. 0.158. And that's going to give me the amount of $55.30. Now, I don't have to show that every time. I'm just going to do this the first time. CPP is a little bit different because I take the $3,500, which is my monthly. I subtract my monthly exemption of $291.67, but I need to put that in a bracket. Why? Because it's that amount that I'm going to multiply by 5.25%, which is 0.0525. And that gives me $168.44. Those didn't line up as much as I would like. Okay. Again, if I did bed mass and I didn't have the brackets, technically I would have done that multiplication before I did that subtraction. So you need those brackets there. And then my federal tax was already given, which is $265.45. Again, it's just right there. And then my provincial tax is given, $176.90. So I'm going to look to see that your tables are nice and neat and orderly. You've got optional deductions in one box where you could find out your mid-gross pay. You've got your mandatory deductions in the other one. So from that one, we add that up. and I get $667.09. Okay, now I subtract that from my mid-gross pay. So I bring this number that I calculated here, $33,64.96, subtract the mandatory 667.09, and I get my net pay. This is what your check will be, $2,697.87. Okay, so my gross pay was $3,500, but my net pay was $2,697.87. Okay, so that's what the next three examples are like, and what your work is going to look like today. I'm going to be giving you some questions where you have to figure some of this out and then complete this chart to find the net pay. That's what everything is about today. So the next couple examples, just to save time, I'm just going to show them to you. Again, you should be able to still stop. Don't just take a picture of this. It's good practice to do this. So it's okay for you to read through this. Okay, maybe listen to me, stop, and then go back and then fill it in. But again, this is a glass attendant working at a glass shop, earning $1,500 per month, has a claim code of 1. I can see that this got edited. So all of my optional deductions go here. I add them up, I get $174.52. I take that number and I subtract it from my gross pay, $1,500, and I get $1,325.48. We're going to use that number later on. Then I go up, and based on the gross pay, I apologize. Not based on the gross, I made a mistake in the last example here, guys. I apologize. Okay, I just realized what my mistake was. Oh, here it is. Yeah, this is not $3,500. No, it is. No, it's not. No, it's based on this number, 336496. I wonder if I did that in my actual calculations. 336496. Because we use that number, okay, because that's not my taxable income. We use that number to find these numbers. I'm sure hoping that's what it did. Again, if they are a bit off, then you'll see that, all right? So, again, in example number 2, I'm going to take this number here, and I'm going to use that up here, right? So I'm going to multiply this value by 0.0158. Okay, and this one down here, I have to subtract the 291.67, and then multiply it by the 0.525, and I should get that value there. I add up those numbers, and I get $125.48. Okay, so then I take my mid-gross pay, I go back to this number that I found there, and I subtract my mandatory pay, and I get my new net pay. Works out to be a nice, even round $1,200. So my gross pay was $1,500. I only got paid $1,200. Okay, not awesome, but I still made a pretty good paycheck. And again, this money's not all lost. Most of it went into my future. EIs, if I ever get unemployed, okay, then they're going to give me, it's not free money, I actually paid into it, probably for several months or several years before I got that. CPP, you're going to get when you're old. Again, when you're 18, 16, you don't think about that, but when you turn 65, you'll be really glad you did. And then the federal and provincial tax, these things go to pay for a lot of things so that we don't have to. You're not paying to come to school. You're not paying for your police officers, your fire department, your water, your infrastructure within your city, things like that. Okay, your parks and so on and so forth. Okay, and then example number 3. Here we're doing a little bit of calculations. Again, he's just a monthly mechanic, gets paid $11,000 a month. His claim code is 2. There are his short-term deductions. On yours, it looks a little bit different. This is kind of my working copy. And then we need to figure out my mandatory deductions. My optional deductions are $718.07. My mandatory deductions was $3,798.94. Okay, I took my gross pay of $11,000 and I subtracted the $718.07 to get this amount right here. Okay, then I used that amount to figure out my deductions up here and how much tax I'm going to pay. Okay, those deductions were $3,798.94. So I take my mid-gross pay, okay, and I subtract my mandatory deductions and I get my net pay. It's the same pattern every time. Again, if you want to pause this and copy the numbers down, or better yet, to do these calculations yourself to make sure you're getting the same ones I have. All right, so from here, you're going to move over and you're going to be working on an assignment. Okay, that's going to look like this right here. The one question that I want to bring to your attention here is on question number 3. Here they're giving you an hourly rate, okay, and based on 40 hours a week. But you need to determine your monthly rate, okay? So how does one calculate monthly if all you're given is hourly? Because again, in a month, like how many days were there, we don't necessarily know that. Maybe you worked 19 days this month, maybe you worked 20 days, 21 days. Again, depending on where weekends fall or holidays or things like that, it might change up. So how do I calculate monthly? Well, to determine monthly earnings, multiply the weekly earnings by 52 and then divide by 12. So I've already done it right here. Okay, so I took the 1290, multiplied it by 40 hours a week, but that's 1 week. How many weeks in a year? 52. So that's going to give me my annual salary is $26,832. Well, to determine my monthly salary, I just take that number and divide it by 12. Okay, so that's how you would calculate your monthly income, and then you would go forward doing the calculations just like you normally would. You'll notice that in my notes here today, I did my calculations for EI and CPP on this sheet, but then you're going to be given blank tables to do your work on for your assignment. All right? So good luck with that. If you have any questions, give me a shout.